The Thunder Valley Motocross track sits at over a mile above sea level. Up here, where the air is thin, your lungs begin to burn early in the moto. Lap after lap, minute by minute, these riders must will themselves to the finish line. This is motocross at altitude, a test of wills where only the strongest survive. Round 5 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is set to get underway from Lakewood, Colorado. It's live on Fuel TV.
We're just outside the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado for round 5 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, the Toyota Trucks Thunder Valley National. Hello everyone and welcome to Fuel TV's continuing live coverage of AMA Motocross. Jason Wygant joined by 4-time national champion Jeff Emig for what should be a fantastic day of racing here in Lakewood, Colorado. We'll give you the big picture storylines we're going to follow today in the 450 class. First, the altitude is the big headline. We're racing in the Rockies, over 6,000 feet of elevation here. That should have a tremendous impact on both the machines and the riders who ride them today in the mountains. And what about Ryan Dungey? A lot of people focused on the number 1, your defending series champ, has yet to win a race through 4 rounds this year. Can round 5 be the race where he finally gets that breakthrough? If he's going to do it, he'll have to go through Chad Reed. Your series points leader was fastest in qualifying today. So look for a great defense by Reed, who wants his 4th win of the season. Now let's turn it over to Jeff Emig to talk about racing here over a mile in elevation. What kind of effect is that going to have on the riders and the bikes?
Well, it's going to have a tremendous effect because there's close to 18% less oxygen in the air here today. And of course, it's a hot, dry day, so that could get even worse. But everyone's in the same boat. You know, it's the teams and the riders that have the preparation and the knowledge of how to be ready for this race that will excel. You know, I spoke to some riders and they're like, look, my bike runs great. You know, it's a little bit down on power, but overall, I feel awesome. And they're going to need it because the track today is extremely challenging, really wet, soft, rutted turns. Overall, you know, it was challenging in practice. But now that it's dried out a little bit, the track's going to be a little bit better. And they're going to need the track to be a little bit harder because in some of these sections, they put some huge jumps in, triple step-ups, huge uphill doubles. But it's going to be a great track for the guys today.
Should be fun to watch. For more, let's send it down to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Aaron Bates, with a pre-race report.
Everybody is geared up and ready to go here at the Mile High City, and Ryan Villopoto comes in at a 15-point deficit. Ryan, you kind of suffered some complications already today mechanically, abbreviated first practice and then again second practice. Are you prepared for this race right now?
Yeah, you know, we had little bike problems, just a little electrical problem that we finally figured out after practice, but was able to get up there, still get, you know, a good gate pick, 3rd, so you know, I got the track down, and that's really all I need.
Best of luck to you today. And Andrew Short, one of the hometown racers. Andrew, take us through your day. You had a crash that second practice. You got that big crash out of the way. How are you feeling lined up?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I'm definitely a little sore after hitting the ground. It I guess, woke me up a little bit, I hope. So had good memories at this track, always go really well, and we'll see how it goes once the gate drops.
Best of luck. A lot of family and friends here to support you as well. And we have got Ryan Dungey just down here. Ryan, you're getting your gate pick all lined up. You won here last year. You're feeling strong. You said you had a great week. What is the motions right now, and how bad do you want to take this overall win for the first one of the season?
Well, the overall win's important. You know, that's what we race for, is to be at the #1 spot. But absolutely, had a great week. Last year had a lot of good fun here with the designations, and then the round stop here. We had a couple good wins, but just try to carry that momentum into here and just get the bike ready and get off to a good start. It's going to be key. A little bit low on power with the altitude, but really looking forward to it.
Ryan Dungey remains consistent, 3rd overall in the season. Guys, they've got a lot of challenges ahead of them today.
Well, all the factors you put into racing, the bikes, the athletes, the teams behind them, but luck plays a big factor as well. And Dungey has not had the same level of luck that he did last year, and he won this title. Of course, he does have to contend with some tough competition. Ryan Villopoto, Chad Reed, Kevin Windham, Brent Metcalfe, Jake Weimer, Davi Millsaps, they're all here. They've all treated us to great racing to the first 4 rounds and 8 motos this year. We expect it to be even better here in Colorado. So stay with us on Fuel TV. Moto 1 next. Big talk, big sports, big tunes. Daily Habit, wildest late night party on television. Weeknights, 11 Eastern and Pacific, only on Fuel TV. It's a good show to watch. Great to have Fuel TV hosting live coverage of AMA Pro Motocross all year long. We'll show you how this thing works with our Motocross 411 breakdown. Every weekend we run 2 motos in each class. We're going to show you the 450s right now, and each one of those races lasts 30 minutes and 2 laps. We'll combine the score from both races to determine an overall winner for the day. And let's show you the track that we'll be riding on here in Colorado. Take us for a little ride, Jeff Emick.
Yeah, well, up here off to start, the riders are going to use the right side of the gate from the right side of the middle for the most part. Try to get out front and stay away from all this wet, sloppy roost that's going to be out there on the first lap. It's going to be really challenging, all these deep rutted turns that we have. And what's the most challenging is that you get into the rut and go all the way through a sweeper, let's say, in one rut. So it's going to be tough. Big jumps here that they've built. Go through this roller section, come down here through this Lucas Oil section. Overall, some really fun obstacles, but because of the lack of horsepower that these bikes will have here, it makes a standard tabletop seem just a little bit farther. And in first practice, we saw a lot of riders coming up short as they were trying to size things up and get the feel of the engine and the track here today.
Been racing here since 2005, so the riders have quite a bit of experience dealing with this altitude and this track. For more, let's chat with some of our top athletes about Colorado.
Colorado is the best race, I think, and the altitude is what comes to mind. You know, your body comes down on power, you're breathing harder. Sometimes it's hot there too. You know, that time of year it can get hot enough to cook you and make it tough. The track gets rough, and the dirt's kind of deceiving. It's hard to see in the ruts how deep they are and how rough they are. So line selection is important. I like it. Everything about that race I like.
It's an uphill start, and even on a 450, we really struggle to actually pull a second gear start. So it really comes down to the teams, you know, putting their effort in, putting their work in to get the best out of the motorcycle. You know, like we use an engine that in typical conditions is just way too gnarly and we can't even ride it, but then you take it to elevation and it just mellows it right out, and you know, we're never, I don't think, satisfied from an engine point of view. We're always wanting more at that race. So
Colorado with the elevation, it slows the bikes down quite a bit, and you know, it's like, all right, how am I going to try to get over this jump? You know, like normally you would be like, no problem, and just the elevation makes the bikes, you know, ride so much different. So I think you have to ride a lot harder to feel like you're going faster or going the speed that you've been used to for the, you know, previous rounds. So for me, I'm just, you know, go out there and whatever the bike, however much horsepower it's got, that's what I'm running it, so it's cool.
And we will welcome back the number 10 of Justin Brayton, Muscle Milk Toyota JGR rider, back in action, so he'll be our Fuel TV 1 to watch in this moto. What's JB got to do here, getting back underway after an ankle injury?
Well, talking about getting your feet wet, you know, but Justin told me that his bike feels great. He feels that they have a better bike here this year than they did last year. He says, I'm probably just not going to be as good as what I was last year. Coming off that injury, it's going to be tough for him to, you know, get back in the swing of things. But qualifying effort was okay, about 17th. Not quite up to his standard, but the most important thing, just like with Josh Grant last week, was to make sure that he rides every lap and finishes every race. Lays down that foundation.
Yeah, the good news is for Brayton, he does have a teammate, Davi Millsaps, who has ridden all the rounds this year, so they did get some development in. Let's go racing. Christian Craig on the 144, Lucas Oil. Troy Lee Honda's going to grab the whole shot with a feet off the peg to boot, but he holds on.
3 Hondas up there, and it's the reigning champion Ryan Dungey that's trying to spoil that party.
Battling with Chad Reed. Those are the 2 of the riders we expected to be up front all year, and especially this afternoon, and they're duking it out.
And you can see the track started to dry out quite a bit because it's hot today, not much humidity in the air, but they put down a lot of water on the track, and this first lap is where it's really treacherous in certain spots as these guys are trying to learn where they can go and not go.
Reed trying to figure out where he can go to maybe get around Craig. He's got Dungey and Ryan Villopoto right behind him. But look at Reed. Got the red background on number plate because he is your series points leader, and he wants the number 1 spot.
I mean, look at Chad Reed. Once again, he was your fastest qualifier today. His confidence is there. Speed is there. They've obviously got the bike set up well.
Oh, you bet. He goes around the outside, which I don't think is supposed to work, but it almost did. Craig is feeling all sorts of heat from Reed.
Big jump here.
Yeah, that jump is massive. Now Reed goes to the inside. He's going to try the short line as Christian Craig goes around the outside, the long line. And this is a split here. Let's see which one is the fastest at this point of the race.
Wow, that's awesome that this track allows these riders to take totally different lines and not actually make a pass. But Ryan Villopoto did make a move on Dungey to get to third. But yeah, halfway around that section side by side.
And look at this. There's upwards of 6 or 7 ruts in each turn. Oh, hello, Ryan Dungey. Uh-oh, Alessi.
Get some expensive equipment here, guys. Stay on the racetrack. But it gives you an idea just how muddy it is down there through that section, Jeff. Look at the mud. They're sliding around quite a bit. You don't normally see Reed this aggressive on lap 1 when the track's wet. And now he's going back after Craig. Well, he has no choice now. He's got Villopoto right behind him.
Well, and the incentive, Jason, is you can see that where Chad funnels in behind Christian Craig here, that he's taking on a lot of that wet, sloppy roost right now, and it weights the bike down just a little bit. You start to go through your tear-offs. So the incentive is to get past the rider in front of you and have that clean track, and that's the advantage that Craig has right now. Now, Villopoto, on the other hand, you see him just get blasted with that sandy first turn dirt. He's going to be taking soil from both bikes.
Craig, who's leading here, did the same thing in our first moto at Freestone in Texas about a month ago and held on for about 17 minutes of the 30-minute moto. So he's comfortable in this situation.
Yeah, but at Freestone, he pulled out a bit of a gap, and he didn't quite have the pressure that he does right now. But I'm telling you, this young guy here, Christian Craig, he's a tall kid. He's got awesome technique, though. He's got a nice flow on the bike and on the track. And right now, we're showing that he can ride the pace of the best guys in the world.
Aaron, what do you have on the 144?
Well, guys, when I spoke with him this afternoon, he said he has been training a lot with Ryan Hughes, and he said he's definitely paying off. He's been training on the bike and off the bike, but the biggest thing that he's been focusing on is mental strength. So he said he's getting faster. His expectations are top 10, but fitness is definitely not a factor for Christian Craig.
Yeah, and I know that Ricky Dietrich, another rider out here, also trains a Rhino, and Christian says that he and Dietrich are basically lined up every single day at the track together, pushing each other to get faster and faster, and now Reed's the one doing it right now. He's trying to put the TwoTwo Motorsports Honda inside the Lucas Oil Troy Lee Honda, and this is where they were 1 lap ago. Craig trying to hang on. Look at this, not intimidated at all by Reed, and he bumps him off the track. And Reed's going to lose second to Villopoto.
Reed took the chance there. I'm not sure that he planned on Craig to staying in it that long, but you know, what an effort here out of the Lucas Oil Honda rider, Christian Craig. I mean, he is just out there sticking with it here in this first moto.
Well, you would think, hey, Reed's the points leader. I'm a new kid in the class, but he did not care. He wants to lead it. Now, Reed going after Villopoto. Villopoto going after Craig. Great racing. And Ryan Dungey back there with the #1, watching it.
Yeah, see, that's allowed Dungey to close up just a little bit here. Villopoto's around the outside.
Wow, nice move by Villopoto that lead him to the inside of the next corner, and he shuts the door on Craig. Craig going to try to come back.
See, and it makes me wonder why Chad Reed could not make the move as Villopoto was able to go from 4th to 1st in just a few laps.
Unbelievable that all 4 riders on the same section. Craig passed by Reed, tries to get Reed back. Dungey watching it. And Villopoto, this is where he's dangerous. The first motos, the last 2 races, he got the lead like this and he took off. Can he do that with Reed right behind him?
I think that this group is going to tighten up here. Dungey now on the move. He's going to get to the inside of Craig right here as he gets a drive up the hill. He's got the line.
Wow, and Dungey letting it hang out. Little uncharacteristic for him, but he needs to make moves.
Hey, what we talk about, Weege, I'm telling you, these 3 riders that are 1, 2, 3 at this point, these riders are taking this championship to the next level. I don't think anybody is going to be able to match their speed or intensity or determination as we go through the rest of this summer. These guys are just starting to be on a different level than everybody else.
Yeah, no doubt they are pushing themselves to go faster than they probably would individually, and that's what Craig is learning right now. He loses the lead with 1 rider, and next thing you know, 2 others have gone back. Josh Grant, who you folks might remember, won the first moto of this race, beat Dungey straight up here in Colorado. Now just back from injury, is in the #5 spot on the American Racing Honda. Long layoff for Grant, had a torn ACL. Basically was out of racing from January until last week. So let's see what the 33 can do. He was 10th last week, and he's double that here with the 5th.
Well, Grant, this is a pretty good start for him, and he's always rode really well at this track. And coming off that injury, you're looking for any little bit of positive energy, of good thoughts, anything that you can build on. And for him to start out into this championship as everybody else was already fit, they've already been through some heat, okay, they've already been working on the setup on the bike, and to perform like this is just a real testament to his preparation.
And Mike Alessi, who is right behind Josh Grant. These two have a lot of history together. They grew up racing in the amateurs, didn't get along very well, and then Alessi, when he came in here with a knee injury of his own 2 years ago, was trying to tough it out, and he got run into by Josh Grant. We'll show you how that broke down. Alessi had broken his kneecap. 14 days later, came and tried to race to score some points and stay in the championship hunt. But then he met Josh Grant. And that move, there's Alessi in the yellow and red. The bump by Grant ended Alessi's season. He landed right on the injured knee. I can't imagine the pain that he was in after that. And, well, those two, they already didn't get along before that one, and it's probably worse now. So there could be some fireworks with that battle for 5th and 6th. And we also got fireworks 2nd and 3rd, Chad Reed, Ryan Dungey.
You got that right. Here they go. You see Villopoto's pulled out just a little bit. Fitness is going to be key here as we get deep into this moto.
So a little bit of a gap built up. Villopoto trying to get away. He's got about 2 seconds over Reed and Dungey, who are all over each other. Red Rock's only about 15 minutes from here, the legendary concert amphitheater. We got some sound of thunder on the racetrack today. Ryan Villopoto here on the Kawasaki, leading them early in the race day of Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Racing Round 5, live on Fuel TV. And Villopoto's fastest lap was his last lap, so he's getting faster. He's faster right now than he's been at any point in the race, Jeff.
Well, yeah, now that the track is dried up, I was waiting a little bit to see, you'll give it a couple laps for this thing to break in. Chad Reed's fastest qualifying time was a 2:11.8, and Villopoto has just put down a 2:10 flat. Couples, and his fastest in qualifying was 2:13.2. So he's 3 seconds faster now than he was in qualifying practice. But he also had that little issue with the bike. You got to wonder if that affected it at all. You know, right now, he's kind of got a lot of pent-up energy. There was a couple of practices that were abbreviated for him. So he hasn't been out there in this altitude, breathing hard and having his heart rate you know, maxed out like the other riders have.
You just saw Chad Reed go by in the red bike. Here's the yellow of Dungey. They were close as we went to break, but then Dungey made a mistake, and that has allowed Reed to open it back up. But plenty of time for Dungey to rebound, Jeff.
Yeah, let's take a look at the left of your screen. Here's Reed coming through, and watch Dungey as he comes through. He tips the bike over, and wisely keeps his left hand on the clutch, keeps his right hand on the throttle, keeps the RPMs going so the engine doesn't die. And really, he only lost about 5 or 6 seconds by that little mistake. And you can see, you know, last lap around, Reed was a 2:14 and Dungey was a 2:12. So Dungey was over 2 seconds faster than Reed that lap. Villopoto also went down to a 2:12.4. So this thing is still a bit of a chess match. As you can see, they really stretched it out on Craig and Grant and Alessi, and I believe Wyndham is just behind them.
Yeah, let's check this battle out. There is Craig, followed by Grant, a couple of Honda riders, and the orange KTM of Alessi, and then Kevin Wyndham right behind them. Welcome back to racing, Kevin Wyndham, who's retired from motocross for all of 6 days.
Yeah, and what's interesting about
wait a minute,
Josh Grant
coming to a stop here on the track. You've got to assume, well, we shouldn't assume anything in this business. You would think that's a bike problem, but you never know.
He slowed down significantly. It's not like he's really, you know, grasping part of his body, like he tweaked his knee or his wrist or something. We know that he did have a slight injury yesterday, so maybe that's affecting him at this point.
Wow, so Grant, he said earlier in this race, coming off an injury, he needs to grasp onto every little piece of confidence he can get. This isn't going to help.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully Aaron Bates can get a word there and find out what's going on for the Team Honda rider. He was putting in a fantastic ride, but, you know, that's the brakes.
Yeah, we've seen it happen to several riders this year in a variety of teams. So Grant, who was 5th, will drop back. That will move Alessi up to 6th. Or, sorry, Alessi from 6th to 5th. And Wyndham should be up to 6th now. As we watch Grant cruise around, it has been mixed for him out here in Colorado. He's had some great moments and then some frustrating ones as well. Last year at this race, he won the first moto and then crashed in the first turn of the second, and now losing more ground. That was Brett Metcalfe, who just went by to drop Grant out of the top 10.
Here we're taking a look at Mike Alessi. Of course, he's riding the 450 KTM as opposed to his teammate Andrew Short. He's riding a fuel-injected 350. Now, KTM, you know, on this 450, it's a carbureted version engine. You would think that it would be at a disadvantage because of the electronic control unit and all these great things that are on the bike to help tune it with the timing and the, the fuel amount and all this. But this team's done a great job, and this is kind of old school because what they have to do, they have to have knowledge and actually change jetting and hard parts on the bike as opposed to the fuel-injected bikes where they just plug in a computer, change stuff on the ECU, and change the mapping on the engine. So.
Talking about old school, let's talk about Kevin Windham, who said last week at Budds Creek in Maryland that was going to be his last race of the summer. And then after a day or two off, he said, you know what? I want to go racing again. So he's here in Colorado.
Back out to the lake.
Back out to the lake. No, I came back out to the track. Aaron Bates, what do you have on Kevin Windham?
Eric Kehoe, the team manager at Factory Honda, informed me right before the moto started that right after Budds Creek, Kevin took a look at him and said, you know what, I think I'm actually just going to keep my gear bag here. And I guess Eric looked at him and said, why? He said, I'll call you this week. So Kevin was extremely happy about that 4th place overall and very happy to be back as well.
Yeah, and they said next week they had already made plans for a nice July 4th barbecue, but they might just have to cancel those as well because he's having a good time at the races. And last week, challenge for a podium was 4th place overall.
Yeah, but I couldn't think of a better place to spend 4th of July than at Red Bud Track and Trail up there in Michigan, right?
I think the Windham family agrees with you on that. And now I get it, Jeff. Yeah, he's decided to spend some time at the lake. Lakewood, Colorado.
Yeah. And, you know, Windham, I mean, he's been around forever. He rode 125s. He rode 252 strokes. He has to have ridden a 250F sometime, right? Didn't he ride for?
He tried that a couple of years ago for fun.
So he's ridden a 250F and also the 450F here. So, and he's been all over the place. He knows jetting. He knows ignition mapping. He can do it all.
33 years old, turned pro in 1994, which, to give you an idea, we have some riders in our 250 class that will be coming up later that were just barely born at that point. Kevin Windham is out there still racing and racing well. He is in the number 6 spot behind Alessi, who was 5th. We catch back up at Ryan Dungey, and as you mentioned, the lap times of Dungey were faster than Reed's, and look at this, he is now back in sight.
Yeah, and the real story here, Villopoto just crossed the line at a 2:18.6,
wow.
8 seconds slower than his fastest. Reed was a 2:15, so he's dropped off the pace, but Dungey still at a 2:13, and that's why these riders are closed up. And we'll really try to focus on what Dungey is doing here on the bike, drawing better lines on the track, carrying his momentum through the turns better, what he's doing to drop that lap time, and for sure that will be the fastest one last lap around.
Aaron is in the Honda pits with Josh Grant. Aaron?
Disappointment and frustration for Josh Grant. Josh, you walked your bike back here, and it didn't look as though you actually crashed. What's going on?
I mean, I had a crash in practice that kind of hurt and tweaked my knee, and I don't know, I figured I'd be all right, and I don't know, just stuck it out in a rut and ended up popping out, so I don't know what's wrong.
Tough break for Josh Grant. Filled with emotion right now.
Man, all right, so it's not a mechanical problem, it is a body problem. But just explain that, Jeff. You know what it's like, the pain of this sport sometimes, the downside.
Well, I've been fortunate that I haven't had a knee injury like that, but I can see the frustration. You can tell there's a lot of emotion right now as he's trying to get his career, and our careers are our lives. Our whole lives and our families revolve around it, you know. This is, once again, another setback for him, and he's looking so good here today.
All right, Dungey has caught Reed, so it is on now for 2nd, and we might see a switch real quick, although Dungey was unable to get the drive over that jump because Reed was right in front of him. A mistake by Reed.
Feed off for Reed. He's trying to ride the short line. Blocked out. And look at Dungey. He's starting to search out some new grooves, but I believe he's going to lose a little time on that one.
I cannot believe how rough this track is, though, Jeff. They're trying to find the smooth lines into the corners. There aren't any. And that exchange, Reed actually came out on top of that one, pulled away just a bit. But the way Dungey caught him over the last 2 laps, you've got to think the number 1 can get back to the number 22.
Well, this season, these motos have been flip-flopped, and it's just crazy because Villopoto here the last couple weeks has been great in the first moto. Second motos haven't worked out as well as the first one, and Reed has kind of been the opposite. He's gotten better as the day's gone on, and Dungey has kind of been the benchmark. He's kind of always been there consistent, but Dungey needs a little extra something right now. He's good, not great, and he needs, you know, if he wants to go win this moto, get past Chad Reed, you know, I mean, he's so close, and that percentage of just whether it's the bike setup or his effort or, you know, whether he just needs to hang it out a little bit more. I mean, he's right there. This is definitely an incredible moto that these guys are putting in because they're so evenly matched.
Well, it's been the story of Dungey's season. In the indoor Supercross battle, 17 rounds, he won 1 race, but was on the podium more than anyone else. And that's kind of the situation here. He's been consistent, but he's still looking for a victory. It's a Gold Rush train here. Go pioneering in the West. We'll see who wins when we return. Battle continues here. Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, round 5, live on Fuel TV. It's the Toyota Trucks Thunder Valley National. You're watching Chad Reed in the 22 in red, trying to hold off a torrid charge from Ryan Dungey in the 1. This is a great race. And folks, stay tuned for a special sneak preview of the new Fuel TV Fall Series Strangers in Danger right after this race. So just keep us locked in all afternoon. Kind of like the way Ryan Dungey is locked in on Chad Reed. Still cannot make the pass, Jeff.
Wow, and Dungey is working so hard. He is expending so much energy on a day that you're going to need to conserve it. I'm questioning whether or not Chad Reed either just does not have the rhythm and the speed that he had in practice, or if he is actually just trying to conserve his energy and just ride at his pace, not letting Dungey dictate the pace to him.
Well, I can count back several motos this year. We have seen Dungey get right to the rear wheel of Reed, and Reed shake that pressure off. Happened in the first moto at Texas, happened in the second moto of Hangtown, happened last week in our last moto of the week at Budds Creek. So Reed has been caught by Dungey several times this year, but he's a veteran, Jeff, and he just seems to be stubborn when you catch him.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be rattled. I mean, he's made a few mistakes here and there, but I'm telling you, look at Dungey. He's outside to outside. He's got the Suzuki wicked up right now, and that takes a lot of energy. I mean, this is his fitness is going to have to be on point and at a very high level if he's going to be able to sustain this type of effort through 36 minutes. 2 different motos.
Oh, Dungey gonna try again. Now they're side by side. Does he have it? Can he finally overcome Reed? Yes. Dungey to the number 2 spot. And yes, incidentally, as hard as they are pushing, Ryan Villopoto's lead is still 9 seconds.
But it could change. Remember what I said earlier? Dungey's good, not great. That was a great pass, and he's putting in a great effort at this point. Is he in it to win it, Jason?
Well, that's always been Reed's motto, but honestly, as far as consistency goes, Dungey's been able to match him there. It's the wins. Reed has 3 on the year. Dungey has 0. At least he's putting himself in position with a second in this first moto. They'll come back later, and they'll run again. And we'll combine both scores. Let's put it this way. If Dungey gets second in this race and wins the next, you can't beat a 2-1. That would give Dungey the overall win. So he's looking good right now.
Yeah, and that's because we go off of a point system. You get individual points for each moto that are combined for the overall. Basically, 25 for first, 22, 20, 18, 16, 15, then it goes down by 1s. But you do get that 1 extra bonus point. There's a 3-point spread between first and second, and only a 2-point spread between second and third. And in this 450 class, there's really 3 guys that have separated themselves, and that's where the math gets really funny and why last week it was so tight.
No separation here. This is your battle for 4th. Alessi on the orange, Red Bull KTM, and Wyndham on the Honda, number 14. Duking it out. They're pretty big ways back. You mentioned those top 3 separating themselves. They have, but this is a good race anyway.
Yeah, it's a great race. And last lap around, Alessi really did not have a good lap. It was a 2:21.4, and Wyndham was a 2:19. Once again, our leaders are down around 2:15, 2:16, so they're quite a bit quicker. But Alessi right now, something's going on, and he is not focused on turning in his best laps. He's backing up just a little bit.
Wyndham in a shade to the inside here through this section. Alessi able to hold him off momentarily. They're riding well, but unbelievable. The gap between them is some 40 seconds between Alessi in 4th and Villopoto, your leader. And that gives you an idea how much Villopoto, Reed, Dungey, your top 3 in this series, have pushed each other away from everyone else. Not to say that these guys aren't riding hard. And still in contention. You see him every once in a while. Christian Craig, who had the whole shop and led this race early. You can still see that Lucas Oil Troy Lee Honda in the picture on the long stretches. Look at Wyndham there on the left side going after Alessi on your right.
Wyndham, he's going to try this outside and then switch back over. That's exactly what Dungey tried to do with Chad Reed the lap before, but does he get to drive up the hill? No.
Oh, and Alessi riding the wide KTM.
The carburetor
Really?
still had the horsepower. I don't know. I'm telling you, KTM's done a great job. Once again, this is a carbureted bike here, so all of the jetting and the tuning to adjust it for the altitude is done with hard parts. Flywheel, cams, jets in the carburetor, pipe, all these different things. Whereas you can still do that. You can do that with the fuel injected bike like what Wyndham's on. But by being able to use the electronic control unit, the brains of the bike, you can adjust the fuel injection, change the timing, fuel mixture, all that, and it's much easier to get the fuel-injected bike prepared for this altitude than the carbureted bike.
Wyndham is tripling up around the outside. He's going to meet Alessi at the exit, side by side. This is a downhill, charging into this right-hander. Wyndham, oh, is he going to hold it around the outside? Yes. Kevin Wyndham into the number 4 spot. Can Alessi strike back?
And look at the options on this track, Jason.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's so many ruts in the turn 2. Even though Alessi got passed through that section, I would say that his technique and everything as he came down through there was just incredible. Feet on the pegs, standing on the balls of his feet, kind of like right through here. Okay, not having that feeling that he wants to sit down and stick his leg out where you possibly can injure your knee. Like that could be what Josh Grant did when he caught his knee, injured it. But
hey, let's give a shout out 108. Jimmy Albertson back in action for the first time this year. Broke his leg in January in Supercross. And riding with help from his buddy Trey Canard, and almost in the top 10. Nice job by Jimmy.
Albertson, just a lap ago, was running 10th, and then Jake Canada out of Southern California put the move on him. But still, for both of these riders here to be, there's Jake Canada right there, to be inside the top 10. This is a phenomenal ride. Coincidentally, I was out at one of the practice tracks on Wednesday with him, and I was watching him practice, and I was thinking to myself, Jake Canada, I was going, wow. Why have we not seen this guy in the top 10? He is absolutely flying. I loved his technique and his comfort on the bike. He looked fantastic, and now he comes out and shows me that he can do it. I love it.
Yeah, so he's 10th, Albertson 11th. Great job by a couple of independent riders, basically riding, pulling money out of their own pocket, trying to make a name for themselves. Canada's fairly fresh out of the amateur ranks. There is Albertson. There's Tommy Hahn, who comes to the number 12, is 12th. And we had our Fuel TV 1 to watch. It was Justin Brayton, and here he is on the number 10. Followed by Nick Way. Great racing even outside the top 10 today, Jeff.
Yeah, and we've got 3 different Yamaha teams represented right there with Hahn, Brayton, and Way. Hahn, of course, Moto Concepts Yamaha. Brayton, the Toyota Muscle Milk bike. And Way riding the Rockstar Yamaha. So I think it's interesting to see that all 3 of these teams have different sponsors, different technicians that work on the bike, different suspension, chassis, pipe, engine guys, and then you end up with them all 3 performing at the same level. So
well, Brayton had a injured ankle, but he actually took the clip off the pedal on his mountain bike and went mountain biking with a cast on. That's how dedicated these guys are. And look at this battle. We'll be right back. Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship continues live here on Fuel TV. You're looking at your leader of this Toyota Trucks Thunder Valley National in Colorado. That's Ryan Villopoto, kid out of Washington. Well, originally from Washington, but basically has 2 houses and 2 tracks, one in California, one in Florida. So he can acclimate himself to almost any weather condition at home except for the altitude here, although it doesn't seem to be affecting him too badly.
Yeah, I think the IRS really dictates where your actual home is, right, where you're paying taxes. But one thing, all the riders today have been incredibly inconsistent with their lap times, and I really don't know, other than how challenging the track is and it changing, why it would be like that. But Villopoto had turned to 2:16, and then Dungey was up around the 2:20. Right now, Villopoto turned to 2:18, and Dungey was back down to a 2:15. Reed, though, the last couple laps have been a couple of 2:20s and then a 2:21. That puts him, ironically, 22 seconds behind the leader at this point.
Well, Jeff, when Dungey caught up to Reed, and remember Dungey had tipped over, so he had to make up some distance. So we see Villopoto pulling away from them as your leader. But when Dungey got to Reed, Jeff, you were kind of shaking your head, seeing, was there something you saw in Reed's technique or the lap times? He just didn't seem as aggressive as he was early in the race when he was going for the number 1 spot.
Well, I mean, that's the story. Yeah, it just looked like that Probably a lot like last week where he says, hey, I just didn't have my rhythm down. On the flip side is Ryan Villopoto. See how nasty that is? I can't explain to you guys how difficult that is to balance the bike and go down through there and keep your momentum up and try to go as fast as you can. This is the type of track and the type of technique and skill that is needed to excel here, and I believe that Ryan Villopoto is one of the best ever.
Not even this year.
I'm not just saying this year. And only time will tell as he goes through his career and if he can rack up multiple 450 championships to go with his 3 250 championships. If, you know, maybe he'll be close to Ricky Carmichael's record of 10 motocross championships. You know, I don't know, but I know that his technique and his skill here is some of the best I've ever seen, and that's why he's now pulled out 8 seconds on Dungey and you know, a little over 20 on Chadley.
And Dungey is riding hard back there at the number 2 spot.
He's charging.
You were talking earlier about how much energy that Reed and Dungey were using to go that fast, and despite that, Villopoto was stretching his lead.
And what'll be interesting, let's take a look at this lap. He's coming by the finish line right now. So 2:18 last lap around, 2:18.5, so he's backed off the pace. So now he has that 8-second lead where he knows where he's at. He's been in this situation a million times. He knows that there's a certain amount of effort involved to keep his lap time going. He has to be focused and concentrate on getting past lapped riders, but there's a certain level of stress and the energy that gets taken away from that stress that he kind of lower that and conserve his energy right now because he's going to need it second moto, I guarantee you.
Aaron, what are you hearing on the Team Kawasaki boys and Ryan Villopoto?
Michael Williamson is mechanic, Ryan Villopoto's mechanic. You got to be smiling ear to ear right now, watching the progress of your boy today.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's riding awesome. He had a little bit of a tip over, but he had a big enough lead to pick it up. And I don't know, I mean, I didn't expect him to pull away that much, but man, he's really riding good.
Coming in, he was 15 points down. What is the thought process entering the halfway point of the season?
We're not really worried about the points. We're not even halfway yet, so we know if we win, the points will come, and that's the goal, is to get out here and try to get a 1-1 today, and you know, the points will come to us.
Race to race, let the best man win. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Aaron. And you mentioned earlier in this moto, Jeff, in these ruts, you get a ride on the balls of your feet. Explain that. I've heard people talk about Ryan Villopoto being one of the leaders of that technique. Talk about, you would normally want to, you know, ride on your arch, your heel, but that's not how this guy does it.
You may normally want to ride on your heel.
That's the
why
old
you're a
way.
broadcaster.
Yeah, sorry. The old way of doing it was around your heels. He's kind of advanced this technique here.
Yeah, and it's especially on tracks like this where it's really rutted and you can catch your toe and your boot and pull yourself out. You can injure your hip, injure your knee. Is when you ride on the balls of your feet, not your toes, not your arches, but right in between there. And the technique is to actually kind of point your toes in a little bit, okay, so that your toes aren't pointed out. And when you're standing up, going through those deep ruts, and the bike bottoms out, and the foot pegs the bottom of the chassis, G out and catch that mud, right? That's what it'll knock your foot off, but it won't twist your ankle or twist your knee.
My technique's basically sitting on the seat all the way around.
It looks great, by the way. Fantastic technique today.
Technique. Yeah, I'm sitting in this chair. Checkered flag is out. Ryan Villopoto wins Moto number 1 at Colorado. And an impressive way of doing it. He started behind his rivals. He passed them. He pulled away. Still got a battle on our hands here. Alessi, who did yield to Wyndham, is now trying to hold off Christian Craig, who has proven he can do a lot more than just get starts and go strong at the beginning. He is strong all the way to the end. So you got the Red Bull KTM, the Lucas Oil Troy Lee Honda. They're going to fight through this last half of a lap for the number 5 position. Look at Craig.
There they are. There's all the team guys cheering them on, and you never know. You keep charging all the way to the end, and the other guy makes a little mistake because he's a little fatigued or tired because of lack of oxygen and all this altitude. You can take that extra spot, and that could mean big dollars for these riders and more points towards the overall.
What does it say about a kid like Craig, though, to get that start and sprint and try to hold off Reed, Dungey, Villopoto, and then still have something left here late in the race?
He's awesome. You know, what can you say? He's fit.
Next in the order is going to be Short on that 350 KTM, and he is a Colorado native, spent a couple of days out here to reacclimate himself, and we're waiting for these riders to cross. There is Alessi, so he will hold on for 5th. Craig is going to take 6th. Short, a hard-earned 7th. These guys fight all the way through. If you're in the top 10, 20, 30 in AMA Pro Motocross, you're riding hard. We'll be right back.
50% of Americans have trouble sleeping.
We're back here at Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Racing on Fuel TV. We hope you got to watch the 450 first moto we just completed. If not, we'll give you the race recap, show you how it broke down. The 144 Christian Craig is your leader early. Ryan Villopoto goes around the outside, which is tough to do, but he manages to go so fast that he all the way around takes the lead. Then Josh Grant, who was in the number 5 spot, injures his knee. He is out of this moto. Might be back later today. We're not sure. He was in a whole lot of pain. Battle was on for second place. Chad Reed had the spot. Here comes Ryan Dungey. And these guys leaned on each other for 4 or 5 laps. And then finally, Dungey was able to get to the inside and shut Reed off. Take over second. But there was no stopping Villopoto. Once he got the lead from Craig, he rolled. Big victory for Ryan Villopoto today. Give you the results of this first 450 moto. Villopoto, Dungey, Reed, no surprise, they are the top 3. They have been the 3 riders to beat all year long. Nice ride by Kevin Windham. Alessi holds off Craig. Jake Canada, privateer, doing it basically out of his own pocket, takes 10th. So well done. That's your top 10. Let's send it down to Aaron Bates, who's on the podium with Ryan Villopoto. Aaron?
What a dominating performance for Ryan Villopoto. Ryan, you told me this afternoon that your trainer, Alden Baker, has been punishing you almost this week on Tuesday. You put in a really hard week of training and riding. Is that what's going to give you the edge to take home that Moto2 victory that you've been waiting for?
Definitely. You know, it just seems like I got the first motos down now and just working on the second motos. But, you know, just can't thank everybody at Monster Kawasaki, Dunlop, Thor, Alpenstarts, Oakley, Vans, Maxima, Renthal, Falcon Tires, Volcom, Specialized, just the whole crew. We've been working hard, so we're just trying to get, like I said, get these second motos dialed in and get some overall finishes first.
Congratulations on a job well done.
Well, it doesn't matter if we're in Pennsylvania, Maryland, or now Colorado. Ryan Villopoto owns the first motos. We'll find out if he can do it in Moto 2. Stay with us. Summertime has just officially kicked off, and this is how the motocross fans spend it. Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Racing, and these folks here in Colorado witnessed a great first moto. We're excited. We'll keep bringing you more here on Fuel TV. Watch the best Kung Fu cult classic films every Saturday only on Fuel TV. Late night, 11 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Go to fuel.tv for movie titles. It's going to be a jam-packed day here. Hey, let's go back down to the podium with Aaron, who has Ryan Dungey. Aaron?
A mistake almost cost Ryan Dungey, but you did install the bike and you made it work. You ended up here on the podium. But Ryan, how deceiving is this track and how easy is it to make a mistake on it?
It's definitely tough. You know, it's one of the trickier ones of the circuit, but you know, it's good. You know, it brings out a lot of lines and a lot of areas for, you know, switch it up and here and there and get out of the guy's groove. You know, you can switch it. But felt good. Made a little bobble there in halfway, but I had to play a little catch up. Got second, and think we can make a few changes for the second one, and we'll go from there.
Congratulations.
Give you an idea of the upcoming rounds of this tour. See where Dungey, Villopoto, Reed, Windham, Alessi, and the rest will battle it out. Of course, every Thursday night at 10 Eastern on Fuel TV, we have our highlights of each round of Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Racing. The next week we'll race at Redbud on Saturday, July 2nd. First motos start live at 1 p.m. Eastern. The highlight show Thursday night. And in the next round will be Spring Creek, the sand track up in Millville, Minnesota. And that's 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 o'clock local time in Minnesota on July 16th.
There is no question these are the fastest motocross riders in the world. 2009 Series champ, Honda's Chad Reed. Defending champion, Suzuki's Ryan Dungey. And 3-time 250 Series winner, Kawasaki's Ryan Villopoto. They lead the best riders in the world into Thunder Valley. Round 5 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship starts right now from Lakewood, Colorado.
We are just west of the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado for the 5th round of the 2011 Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, the Toyota Trucks Thunder Valley National in Lakewood, Colorado. Hello everyone, Jason Wygant and 4-time AMA National Champion Jeff Emming welcoming you to Speed's continuing coverage of this 450 class of Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Racing. Lots of stories to follow. We'll give you the main ones here as we look at our big picture. Coming into this, we thought Kevin Windham was gone from the tour, but he has pulled a Brett Favre after retiring last week at Maryland. He said he had so much fun he wanted to come and join us today. So Tay-Dub is back in action for round 5. Ryan Dungey needs a win. Your defending series champ, 0 for 4 through the first 4 rounds this year, but he was fast all day today. Could today be the day that he gets that first win? He'll have to do it by going through Chad Reed, who has been the king of the second motos. He's won every single one of them so far this year. We'll see if he can get moto win number 2, number 5 today in Colorado. For more on that, let's talk to Jeff Emig. Not only are Dungey and Reed and Windham and also Ryan Villopoto going to contend for the win today, they've also got to contend with the altitude, which should have a big impact on the bikes and the bodies.
Yeah, it will, Jason. The elevation here is 6,100 feet above sea level, and there's approximately 18% less oxygen in the air. So that presents a problems for the team as they try to keep the horsepower that they have, or at least minimize the damage from the lack of air density and oxygen. Also for the riders, of course, it really taxes their bodies, and you have to breathe harder, your heart rate goes up, and all of these challenges with the elevation. But everyone's in the same boat. Everyone has to deal with it, and everyone's going to have to deal with the track here, because second moto at Thunder Valley, this track is going to be treacherous. Moto 1, the track started to deteriorate. We've seen that the corners had these huge ruts in it. It was really challenging for the riders, but now it's heated up. Bike's going to have a little less horsepower again, and the track has gotten rougher. And the second motos, this is where it's all on the line for the overall. So let's see if Chad Reed can keep on that second moto win streak and do it again.
Going to show you how this track looks. Ricky Dietrich, we're on board with the GoPro Hero Cam. What's happening here, Jeff?
This is earlier today in P1, the first practice. Look how muddy it was, because they have to put that type of moisture in it because the track dries out so much. Little double right here. The 450s are even struggling to get over that. Jumps like that triple up, and you see how the momentum led you to the outside. Big downhill tabletop, and watch what happens here in this style. Look at that, 7 or 8 lines across that. Ricky's trying to ride the outside line. Ryder's going to be searching here in the second moto to try to find the lines where they can keep the most momentum.
Here's the full track. Explain the layout here, Jeff.
Uphill, downhill drop off, come up here through some rollers. This is when the horsepower is key. Come off the top here, double down this, and then this left-hander right there. That's part of what we've seen earlier. These corners are going to be so difficult. The ruts are going to be chopped out. They're going to have a lot of hooks in them. You're really going to have to be strict with your technique. Then you go around that big, fast sweeper into some tighter sections of the track. Lucas Oil section here where you've got a series of tabletops. Starts to tighten up a little bit here on into the finish line, back across the Makita Mechanics area.
We'll show you exactly how we go racing in Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross. We have 2 motos every weekend, 40 riders each one 30 minutes plus 2 laps, no rest. And that's a long time to sprint in this altitude. We already have the first moto complete. Let's show you the highlights of Moto 1. Off the start, a bit of a surprise. Lucas Oil Troy Lee Honda's Christian Craig on the 144 is going to beat everyone into turn 1, including the big names like Chad Reed, Ryan Dungey, Ryan Villopoto, and the rest.
And he led this race convincingly for a while, and it was Chad Reed who started second, and he was trying to put the pressure on also. He was doing everything he could do to try to get past the 144, just could not make it stick.
Yeah, look at Craig battling Reed. Reed unable to get by him. Ryan Villopoto on the number 2 takes advantage, passes Reed for second, and before long he's going to go after Craig around the outside here, which will become the inside of the next corner. Ryan Villopoto to the lead.
Yeah, things started happening pretty fast for Chad Reed, but for Ryan Villopoto, he was just out front. And watch here at the left of your screen, the reigning champion Ryan Dungey goes down, picks his bike back up.
Worse news for Josh Grant, who was running in the top 5 position, then starts to coast. Apparently popped his knee. That was a knee he already had injured early in the series, and he was in some major pain. Meanwhile, Villopoto opening up a big lead while Dungey and Reed were battling behind him, but there was no competition for the 2.
Yeah, but watch this battle here. Dungey was so persistent trying to get past Chad Reed. I mean, this is deep into the moto. Finally, really lays it down, gets aggressive, and finally makes the pass on Chad Reed.
And one more battle left, Mike Alessi versus Kevin Windham for 4th. We mentioned at the top of the show that Windham said he was done racing this summer, but he decided to come back today, and he makes a good show of it to take 4th from Alessi, pushing Alessi back to 5th. Meanwhile, Villopoto, he's got the checkered flag in hand because he has won the first moto. We'll show you the results. Dungey and Reed on the podium. Reed needs to bounce back like he has done so many times this year. And how about a full privateer, Jake Canada, in the top 10? Let's send it down to Aaron Bates for the Progressive pre-race report.
every rider here is facing a lot of challenges due to the elevation and the heat. Chad, you were that one guy that faced those challenges. 3rd overall during that first moto. You weren't happy whatsoever with that. What happened out there?
No, just deja vu, unfortunately, of a bad first moto, you know, like it just, the last couple of weeks, it's just been kind of, I don't even know why. Just come out and I just ride tight and just don't flow. So try to regroup like we have been in the second moto and put it up there. This place has been tough for me in the past, so a podium result would be good, but the win is always the sweetest.
Chad Reed's never won the overall here, looking to do that. And Kevin Windham returns again, smiling ear to ear. Kevin, you love being out here in front of all your friends, but take us through in between motos. Things weren't so hot for you. You weren't feeling that well.
Yeah, I ate a lot of dirt, especially off of Alessi's wheel there, and actually lost lunch. So we played catch up, trying to get enough nutrients in to make the second moto. It's going to be tough. It always is. Second moto is grueling, but you know, enjoying being here. Couldn't think of any place I'd rather be. My retirement was short and sweet, and retirement's overrated.
We'll call you the Brett Favre. Brett Metcalfe finished up 9th during that first moto. You were not happy with that result whatsoever. You expected to do well here. This is your style of track, Brett. What is it that you have for this second moto?
Hopefully a better result in store, but just, you know, I had a bad start and a little tip over, and man, everyone's riding well. This field is competitive. You can't do those things if you want to be up there. So, you know, we just got to get a better start off the gate and put the Rockstar Makita Suzuki up there.
All right, we'll see if Medi and Windham and Reed can rebound here in Moto 2. These are the toughest athletes on the planet. How about Windham? Throws up. He rode so hard in the first moto and says he still had a great time. That's what these gladiators put themselves through every weekend. And after 4 great rounds of racing thus far in 2011, we're set for what should be an exciting round number 5. 450 class Moto 2. Stay with us.
Kawasaki's good time save.
Let's give you your Rocky Mountain keys to the race on the 108 of Jimmy Albertson in returning to action, Jeff.
Take a look at it. He had a great first moto. Can he do it again?
Trying for a top 10. He was 11th in Moto 1. And Chad Reed's going to lead him. Oh, and Jake Weimer down.
Is that Craig with him?
I think that might be Christian Craig, who had the whole shot in the first moto.
Yep, 144.
Wow. So Reed out front of Windham and Dungey and Jimmy Albertson. So Albertson, that's a key to the race. Get a good start.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it looks like Moto 1 winner Villopoto just behind Albertson.
That was Craig there on the 144. Lucas Oil, Troy Lee Honda, Monster Energy Kawasaki of Weimer. So they are last and next to last, while Reed and Dungey are first and next to first.
Hey, oh, more riders down here.
Kyle Chisholm and Alessi. Alessi on the right on the 800.
And that's just out of corner number 2, those rollers coming up the first hill.
That was Weston Pike on the 43 between them on the Kawasaki. The rest of the field fighting for position right now. And the one thing I've been impressed at this year, Jeff, most of the top series favorites have been getting the starts consistently. Once again, we have Reed, Dungey, Villopoto up front early.
Look at Chad Reed here, and just watch these bikes, okay, as they go around the first lap. You see Dungey starting to feel the flow, and watch how much the bikes jump around this moto. I mean, these are the best setups that these teams can possibly put out there, but the track, it's gnarly because it's dried out, and it's going to be really hard packed now, and all these soft ruts have now hardened up, and they get big hooks in them. So instead of being like a perfect circle around the turn, it'll be like drawing a zigzag around the turn. Notice in that section, they smoothed it out, took all the ruts out.
Look at Dungey leaning on Reed. Dungey on the number 1. Reed has the red background because he's your series points leader. He was tied with Dungey early in the year. Now, we were saying that Dungey's been shut out on victories this season, but we have to give credit. He had the victory at round 2 in Texas, locked up, but then his bike stopped running with 2 laps to go. So he has had the speed to win these things. He just hasn't had the right luck. Speaking of Ryan Villopoto, and speaking of the right luck, here he is, and he has made the move on Kevin Windham. Look out.
Practically jumped under Windham, but back to that, Dungey has won a moto. He just has not won the overall.
And as I was saying, the top, once again, your 3 fastest riders in this game right now are up front off the start. So we are set for a showdown, and now it's Villopoto going after Dungey for second.
Wow. I mean, once again, Villopoto, the first lap, made the moves, really aggressive, you know, instinctually just was able to work his way past whatever riders were in his way. It's going to be a tough moto. I just hope that these three can just stay in it. You know, like Chad Reed there, that first moto, kind of fell off the pace there at the end. Now's going to be the time to dig deep. But Chad did mention that he would be happy with a podium here. Dungey, on the other hand, I have a feeling that a podium's just not going to cut it. He's got plenty of those this year. It's about winning the overall and getting himself back to this championship chase.
Yeah, Reed has struggled at this facility before. You go back to his championship season 2009, I believe he finished 8th place in one of the motos and just didn't have it that day. So it's over par for him at this track, but he's your series points leader. He really expects to win anytime he goes to the gate. And right now, he's actually distanced himself from Dungey just a bit.
And look at that line that Reed used around the outside. Instead of going to all them ruts on the inside, they had taken the dozer and smoothed out outside and made it speed up a little bit. And Chad was able to use that to get a little gap. But then see here, around this huge sweeper, he decides to use the short line.
Same as Villopoto. Villopoto used that line as well. Dungey went to the outside, so they are all over this track trying to find the fast way, Jeff.
And it looks like both of our leaders are really quick through this section, and Villopoto, whether he made a mistake or just didn't quite have the line, but it's when we get around the finish line in the start area that Villopoto has, that's where he's making magic at, because last lap around he was able to close up on these leaders, no problem.
And that section of the track is where Villopoto made passes in the first moto to get the lead and eventually take the win. But right now, the 22 of Reed, the 1 of Dungey, they are putting distance between themselves and Villopoto, but you see the countdown clock at the top of the screen. We're only basically 5 minutes into a 30-minute and 2-lap moto.
Just a short 25 minutes until we get to the 2-lap board.
Then you got to push even harder when you're already tired.
Well, yeah, and of course with the elevation here and the lack of oxygen that's in the air and how much it taxes your body, it is really difficult at that point. Plus, another interesting thing I learned is that you sweat twice as much and your sweat evaporates quicker, so you dehydrate so much easier. So It's important for these riders in between these motos to really be sharp with their hydration and to get their fluids in.
Look at Wyndham hanging with the top 3, and Justin Brayton in his first race this summer after an ankle injury in Supercross, coming in 5th. Albertson is 6th. Michael Byrne, Tommy Hahn, Andrew Short, Davi Millsaps ran out of the top 10. But Jimmy Albertson, self-funded privateer, actually has some help from Trey Canard, his good buddy. Rides at Canard's house in Oklahoma. It says Trey Canard Racing on his front fender. He's making it happen right now on the 108. Here are the keys to the race. Rocky Mountain ATVMC bringing you this. What's he got to do, Jeff?
Put himself in good position at the start. Check. He's got that. Now there's other business to do.
Yeah, like hold off Brayton, as Reed meanwhile have to hold off the 1 of Dungey. This is the kind of aggression we've been waiting for Dungey all year. In our first moto earlier today, Jeff, you were commenting, it just seems like there's just a little certain something extra that Dungey needs. Are we seeing that right now? Because he is all over Reed.
The first moto, we definitely saw that. And
there he goes. Mistake by Reed. Dungey to the #1 spot.
Reed back around the outside, which has been a little bit quicker here today. Let's see if he can make the move. No, slams the door there.
And as they tangle with each other, look who's coming up in 3rd, Villopoto. And it doesn't get any better than this. Your fastest 3 men in motocross. 1, 2, 3. Throw a blanket over them. This is the way we want to set it up with a lot of racing left.
It's going to be interesting to see, Jason, if Chad Reed is really going to hang it out or if he will be conservative with this and say, okay, look, a podium finish is going to be good enough here today. It seemed like that was the way that he was leaning, but you know how racers are. We get out there and it just ends up being about winning. You know, you just don't like to get beat.
Villopoto, this is his line around the outside. He using it in Moto 1. Reed wisely blocks it. Villopoto's on the outside again. They're going to race past the Makita Mechanics area. Villopoto switches it up. A drag race through the rough stuff. And Villopoto takes over 2nd. Well, this is the same scenario Reed faced in the first race. He was strong in the first couple of laps, but once he got zapped, he lost his rhythm. Can Reed respond this time, Jeff?
I don't know.
Not going to be easy.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. The drive that both of our 2 leaders here have, Chad's going to have to do something special. You know, and right now, see when you get up to these hard sections, a little bit of small rocks in here. The roost, once that stuff starts to hit you, it's, man, you either got to fight for it or you're going to just back off and just be content with 3rd place. The #1 of Ryan Dungey, I guarantee he is not content with anything other than 1st place at this point. And of course, Ryan Villopoto, he has a real spark here today.
and he is maneuvering himself around this track, you know, like a virtuoso at this point.
Reed's still right there trying to hang with these two, and he's got to hope that they maybe slow each other up like he and Dungey did a lap or so ago. But look at Villopoto. He has found that rhythm that you've been talking about, and he is ready to try to make a pass. There he goes to the inside. Dungey able to hold him back. Now, last week we were racing in Maryland, and Dungey was behind Villopoto in the first race, behind Reed in the second, couldn't make it happen. Now he has the advantage. He's in the point position. This is everything he wants. He's got the lead.
Yeah, and if Dungey is really smart with his lines and he doesn't make any mistakes, he's going to force Villopoto to try to ride the wild lines and make something happen.
So the Ryans trying to hold off Chad Reed in what should be a spectacular race today in Colorado.
Speed presents.
Rolla brings his serious love of cars and his funny point of view to speed with the car show. And you know when Adam Carolla's in charge, nothing is off limits. You've heard his podcast, and he's a car enthusiast. So the car show premieres July 13th at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. I'll be watching only on Speed. Comedy, cars combined. That's going to be awesome. And this is awesome as well. A battle. Ryan Dungey leading Ryan Villopoto. Huge ruts, altitude, rough track. We're reaching the second half of the second race of the day. We're going to see the best of these two.
And this is for the overall, Jason. This is it. And Ryan Dungey has not scored an overall all season long after winning the championship last year. Dominated the championship.
Aaron, what are you hearing on Ryan Dungey right now in the pits?
Well, guys, the Rockstar Makita Suzuki team are taking no chances of running out of fuel here at Lakewood, which happened to those guys at Texas. But in between motos, Mike Goosler was looking on an insulation blanket, which sits in between the tank and the frame, so that the fuel won't so the fuel won't boil over due to this heat and the altitude. So it's one of those things that they're doing, just the usual maintenance as well for the bike for the second motor.
Yeah, we first started racing here in 2005, and that was about the time that these four-stroke bikes came of age, and the teams were not ready for that. The four-stroke engines are a little bit bigger, Jeff. They're right near the gas tank, and explain how that heats up the fuel, and then you got problems.
Yeah, I mean, basically, when the gas tank sits right above it, and what they do with the fuel tanks, they try to get all that weight and everything compressed to the center of the bike. Mass centralization of the weight helps with the handling of the machine and all kinds of things. But in turn, like here on a Chad Reed's Honda, with that engine setting just under the gas tank, is that it heats up the fuel, starts to boil the fuel, and eventually it evaporates out the top of the gas tank through the overflow tube. So what they do is they put some insulation, some stuff, you know, off the space shuttle technology that's in there.
Hey, here's Kevin Windham, still running strong in fourth. Aaron, what are you hearing on the 14?
Still running strong in a very quick retirement. Eric Kehoe, the team manager at Factory Honda, informed me that last week Kevin was so indecisive he wasn't sure exactly what he wanted to do, but he told Kevin Kevin told him right before he had left, keep my gear bag. And he said, why do I want to keep your gear bag? And he said, I'll call you this week. So he was very indecisive of whether or not he wanted to come back. And this weekend he's sporting an indecisive butt patch here for Moto 2.
Yeah, well, he's had some really, you know, convicted rides here. It's just been awesome. But let's clarify that he was retiring for the summer.
Yes,
not for his career. Yeah. So
yeah, he was going to be back for Supercross for sure in January, and didn't rule out coming in late in the year and maybe racing some more outdoors. Now I don't know what the limit is.
Well, yeah, and he rides with such a natural ability. He's so efficient on the bike. You can see by his technique. He's just so smooth. And if he keeps himself free of injury, which he did a couple years ago, and it looked like he might retire, but now he has just been awesome. And you talk about awesome.
Yeah.
First moto, this is a guy that got overlooked. Early in the moto, on our timing and scoring, Tommy Hahn showed up as 38th. And then a few, 5 or 6 laps later, he was inside the top 15, and then eventually finished up with an 11th. And I said, okay, it must have been a transponder issue.
No way, that's that many guys.
I spoke with Tommy here on Moto Concepts Yamaha. He says, no, I was 38, and I rode my butt off, and I'm really happy with that. The team also informed me that his average lap time was inside of the top 5, even though he finished 11th. That average time was some of the best of the moto.
Okay.
So right here, now he has his chance to redeem himself after falling at Budds Creek in the first moto when he was running 5th, starting way back in this moto. Now he's the opportunity to put that Yamaha up inside the top 5.
Hey, we finally have found Davi Millsaps, who was so strong earlier in the year. Had a rough one last week in Maryland and a rough first moto today. Aaron, what are you hearing on the 18?
Well, Davi Millsaps has actually been sick with a sinus infection for the past 2 weeks, and I guess it got more severe this week. So his doctor did put him on some antibiotics, but because of his kidney ordeal, he's not able to process the antibiotics correctly. So anything that's got no coating on it is what he can take to get himself a little bit better. But during that first moto, Benjamin Schurmeyer, his mechanic, changed up a front brake guard and a front brake rotor guard due to his crash. So he's very frustrated and looking for redemption here in Moto 2.
Yeah, we saw Millsaps in that Makita Mechanics area early on, and he finished 24th in that moto. So illness, a little bit of bad luck with the bike. Finally, we're seeing Davi Millsaps going fast like he did early in the year. And Brett Metcalfe, man, we're waiting for this guy to catch fire. He's been solid this year, but this was the guy that was contending for wins in 2010. Right now, Metcalfe is in the number 7 position, and he had an injury, a wrist injury in Supercross, so maybe not quite at 100% when this year began, but you expect to see more from Medi as the summer goes on?
Oh yeah, and he needs to improve his starts. He had to ride from behind the first moto. He was 9th, and I mean, he was over a minute behind the leader, and he cannot be happy with that. But if he starts up front, he can run inside the top 5, no problem.
All about the sounds here at Thunder Valley. You hear the 4-strokes thundering through the valley. And about 15 minutes from here, you can go to Red Rocks, the famous natural concert amphitheater.
When it's time to get ready.
Ryan Dungey leading the way. Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship racing in Colorado. When you go to Colorado, you know you got to deal with the altitude. Earlier, our own Jeff Emick broke down the difference between racing in sea level and up in the mountains.
The elevation of the track here at Thunder Valley is about 6,100 feet above sea level. And to get an idea of what sort of horsepower loss these 450 machines will have, we can use this basic horsepower loss calculator. So you got 6,100 feet times 0.03 gives us 183, times 60 horsepower at sea level gives us 10,980, divided by 1,000 gives us a horsepower loss of almost 11, or 18.33%. And to get a sense of what that's like for the riders, let's hear some of their comments.
Well, for all the riders, it's kind of the same. So everyone's bikes are, you know, just a little bit slower just due to the altitude. But yeah, it's the same for everyone. It's just, you know, a little less horsepower, harder to get over some jumps. But you know, it makes it fun. You can go a lot faster, and I feel like you can race a lot harder. So it's cool.
The bike is down on power. It's just starving for air, and they're just really slow. So. Everybody on the team everybody knows that already, so they do everything they can to make it the best they can up here, but it's never going to be like it is down at sea level.
With the power being a little less up here, we kind of go up on tooth on the rear sprocket. If we have any power left in the engine that Suzuki or Yoshimura can get us, then we throw it at it, and we've already done that, so we're at the limit.
You're down on power a little bit, which makes you ride a little bit harder because, you know, you're down on the power, and the altitude gets it out of you too. So those 30+ 2s are definitely probably some of the toughest motors we do all year here in Colorado.
Well, and still there's another factor in this whole thing, which is called corrected altitude, which is based upon air density and barometric pressure. If the air was really good and it was cold and dense air, it could actually make it feel less than 6,100. And the teams use this handheld weather station to figure out exactly where they're at.
It's not cold and dense today.
The Gibbs guys at the Muscle Milk Toyota team told me that the corrected altitude earlier today, when it was not as hot, was 6,000. So it's playing right into that 6,100. The engines are starving for oxygen, along with the riders, and right now Chad Reed is starving for some rhythm.
Yeah, once again, he was a little bit stronger in this second moto, ran with Villopoto and Dungey for a while, but not for the entire race. And about 10 minutes ago, they started to distance themselves, and the gap is 9 seconds between your leader and your third-place rider, Reed.
Yeah, well, Reed's a veteran. He's a champion, and every now and then, I mean, he knows that coming here, you know, that he just has never had good vibes, never had a good ride. He told us third would be good enough, a podium. And sometimes you know, you got to just back it off and ride within yourself, and that's having a smart ride.
Wyndham, what a ride for him. Smart, strong, and he could have been at the lake hanging out, but as you said, he didn't go to the lake. Instead, he went to Lakewood, Colorado. And fourth, he's been a fourth-place guy pretty much all year long, and that's impressive because outside of that top 3, you've got a lot of talent, and Wyndham's overcoming that.
Well, and a veteran like this is so valuable to somebody like Team Honda. First moto, Josh Grant in his second race back from an injury. has another injury to his knee, and so he's not in. Of course, Trey Canard, one of their other younger star riders, is out with injury. So to have a veteran like Kevin Windham, that is no doubt the fan favorite.
Absolutely.
To have it there is awesome.
Yeah, and we don't know. Maybe they might have to tell Windham, you have no choice, you got to come race, because Grant might be out for a while. We don't know the prognosis after that knee injury. Let's look at Tommy Hahn, still in 5th, still chugging along.
And this is what Tommy is capable of. A week ago at Budds Creek in the first moto, he closed up on the back of Windham, correct? It was putting on this fantastic ride. He was just a click off of Chad Reed, who was in 3rd, and he fell down and he injured his ribs. But he's back here this week, putting on another strong ride and a top 5, and that's awesome. He's at about a 2:19 lap time. Only problem is Davi Millsaps is about a second quicker right now, and another Yamaha rider here on this Muscle Milk Toyota bike.
All right, so Millsaps trying to run down Hahn to get into the top 5. Millsaps had a podium early in Texas, around 2 at Freestone, and we thought he might be able to give Reed, Villopoto, Dungey a run, but the last 2 races, last week and this one, not where he wants to be. Then you've got Metcalfe, see on the yellow 24, coming through next. He is 7th, and behind him is Colorado's own Andrew Short. Man, those
Look at
ruts are
those
deep.
ruts. Seriously, did you see that? It makes it tough because all those ruts have a little bit different personality to them. And not every rut has the same bump in each spot, and it actually changes, throughout this moto.
That's a rider who is a lap down there, and then you will see Short on the 29.
Boy, what a challenging month Andrew Short has had with his child Hudson, the baby boy, having eye surgery.
Yep.
It sounds like everything has gone well, but then earlier today, he goes out and crashes in practice.
Yeah.
Bumps his head, says it wasn't that bad. He's feeling a little sore, putting in some solid top 10 rides.
Well, Andrew Short wants to do it for the hometown folks here, and not going to be able to put it up on the podium today, but like you said, he's got a lot on his mind lately, and maybe in the second half of the year, he'll be able to put that orange bike up there. Now, some of the fans are here cheering for Andrew Short. Some of the other Colorado natives get to go skiing in the summer, if that's possible. They're at 12,000 feet of elevation. Make a weekend out of this. Come and join us live next year.
You're watching Motocross on Speed! Woo!
It's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA. Here's Michael Byrne here, the veteran, number 26 out of Australia on the BTO Sports Butler Brothers Suzuki. He has worked his way up into the top 10, battling with Justin Brayton. Brayton was in the top 5 early, but here is Brayton losing a couple of spots. The 945 is a kid out of New York, Michael Stryker. He's got a lap down, but Brayton is struggling a bit here.
Yeah, this is his first race back after an injury, so you can see fitness and all that stuff's going to be tough to be in shape. But Michael Byrne also caught him when he was over that big uphill triple. He was looking ahead to see who was the next rider in line, which would be Andrew Short.
We'll see if Burner can keep moving. As for Brayton, if you had an ankle injury, you don't want to ride a track with these ruts, do you?
Well, you're going to be more conscious of it. Right. You're going to be very strict with your placement of your foot on the peg, and you're going to be a little bit apprehensive when you get into some of those deep ruts.
How about Jimmy Albertson? Broke his leg in January, finally back to racing now over 6 months later, and was 11th in Moto 1, and he's 11th so far Moto 2.
Got to be happy with that. It's a pretty solid ride. I mean, okay, so good position off start, check. Push hard for the first half of the race. I believe that he's done that. He's kept himself in a pretty good position. Brayton is obviously on his way backwards, so if he can keep pushing hard and maybe pick off Brayton or another rider falls, could get a top 10 finish here in the second moto, be right on the border, but he could possibly get a top 10 overall.
Well, Brayton was 14th in Moto 1, so depending on how the points work out, Albertson might be top 10. But how about top 1? Ryan Dungey was dealing with a lot of heat from Ryan Villopoto at the midway point of this race, but he has answered the call here. The lead is 5 seconds. That's not a lot, but it might be enough to hold on and take the win.
What Dungey is doing is inching himself away from Villopoto. Just slowed down a couple seconds on that lap. Look at that, 3 laps to go. Mike Gosler, of course, legendary mechanic for numerous champions. Chad Reed, Ricky Carmichael. These guys know what it takes to get done, and they've been second a lot this year. They've been in the hunt, but have not been able to notch an overall win. And I think back to my '96 championship, I was second to Jeremy McGrath in a lot of races in the first half and picked it up in the second half. Maybe Ryan Dungey doing the same thing at this point.
Well, this is a statement. Reed and Villopoto had their chance to beat him, and they weren't able to do it. That's why this guy's got the #1 plate. Can he keep it going? We're going to find out. Checkered flags not far away. 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday, July 12th. Live from Phoenix, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Fox. That's the All-Stars, the big hitters of baseball. Here's the big hitter of AMA Pro Motocross right now, Ryan Dungey. He's had to prove himself. A lot of doubts last year, Jeff, when he won this title, but Reed and Villopoto weren't there to challenge him all year. Can he beat them straight up? He's doing it right now today.
Yeah, and speaking of big, we have a huge crowd on hand here today in Lakewood, Colorado. Beautiful day. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. And the motocross fans here, they've just came out in droves, and they've been treated to some unbelievable racing. At the top of your screen was a green bike. Ryan Villopoto, who was about a second faster than Dungey last lap around. So now 3 to go. Well, almost two at this point. Desperation is on. Ryan Dungey is trying to nail all of his lines. He's trying to keep that that momentum going, not let up on the intensity, because Villopoto is doing the same thing as these guys are battling for the overall. 2-lap board right there on the finish line.
Now, we see what's happening in the race right now, but I want to ask you about the bigger picture. Momentum in the series. Dungey's had some frustrations this year. Does Villopoto know that if Dungey wins this race, he could potentially get on a roll? I mean, are they thinking more than just about these 2 laps? Are they thinking about how this one race could affect the rest of the year?
Well, I think both of the riders here, first and second, have both had frustrations. But today, the rider that's going to leave here the most frustrated is going to be Chad Reed, because he sets in third, and he just did not have that spark, especially here in the second moto, that he has had in the previous 4 rounds.
Aaron is in the Makita Mechanics area with Ryan Dungey's mechanic. Aaron?
That's right, guys. I'm here with Mike Gosler. Mike, the moment is just about here for you guys. It's taken 5 rounds in. I know you don't want to get your hopes up right yet, but what would this mean to you guys after all the hard work that you've put in?
You know, everybody works so hard, and this would be a great boost for our team. But we've been so close so many times, it'd just be good to get on a little roll.
You know Ryan so well. What would this do as a confident booster as we enter the halfway point of the season for this championship?
I think it'd help anybody with their confidence. You know, it's just the points are so close right now, though. Even though we're winning, it's really good to win, but the points aren't going anywhere.
Cross your fingers. Just a few laps left to go.
And he talks about points. They're all about winning the championship, and he knows, you know, Mike Gosler's been a championship mechanic for a long time. A lot of championships under his belt, and he knows that what it takes to win the championship in AMA Motocross is to win the motos. That's when you get the 3-point gap between you and second. And, you know, for Chad Reed, he's third, so that would be a 5-point gap.
Now, what's funny is, maybe this track is the rebound for Ryan Dungey. From basically 2009 through the end of 2010, Ryan Dungey was unstoppable. He won every championship he competed for, and he concluded the 2010 season by leading Team USA to victory at this very track at the Motocross of Nations last September. Dungey won that one, capped an amazing 2-year run, but ever since then, it just hasn't quite been the same for him. Could this track, could this win be the spark that it takes for Ryan Dungey to get the mojo again?
Undoubtedly.
Really?
Undoubtedly. This, you win, you feel that confidence, you feel like, okay, we've got the bike sorted, I'm working together as one with the bike. Now I know I can beat these guys. I'm not questioning what I'm doing during the week. I'm not questioning the setup on the bike. Unbelievable rhythm that he has had today. How he has maneuvered the bike and let it flow around on a track that, I mean, it's really rough out there right now, and especially those corners where you have to stand on the pegs. You have to be really patient as you're trying to keep your momentum through. But Villopoto has kept him honest. He's only about 5 seconds behind right now, and they've been at that pace. So Villopoto has not backed off. He's trying to capitalize on any sort of mistake that Dungey would make here and allow him to slip into the #1 position once again.
Jeff, I'm just watching him come down these hills with that kind of speed. Bike's bouncing around. If he gets 4 or 5 inches off to the right or left, he's going to miss those ruts. These guys are on it.
Look, I've been in this mode before. I've been in this position, and you work so hard to have the fitness, to have the bike set up, to have the mental capacity, and to build that flow. And I can tell you now that when I ride, that flow is not there like what these guys have, and I miss it. You know, it's just, it's so difficult, and these champions make it look so easy at times. It's very deceiving watching it on TV.
Villopoto has run a great race. He has been hammered down all the way. He just this time couldn't make the move. And Dungey has answered the question, can he do it against Villopoto and Reed straight up? He's doing it today.
Well, Dungey, you can see him being a little more cautious. He takes a look over his left shoulder in that tight 180 to see exactly where Villopoto is. But if Villopoto keeps the hammer down and Dungey's a little too cautious here, he can close that up. And then that's when you start to worry about the mistake. But so far, so good. A one-hander. Dungey feels pretty confident. He's got this one in the bag. And I'm telling you, this is a huge win for Rockstar Makita Suzuki and Ryan Dungey. This is a big weight off of his shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's great about the way this series is shaped up, we're going to be 5 rounds in, and you still aren't going to be able to pick a favorite between Reed and Villopoto and Dungey. They have all beaten each other straight up at different times this year. This is an amazing championship fight beginning to materialize. Ryan Dungey wins at Lakewood.
Takes a look over his shoulder right there. Yes!
Man, does that feel good for this team who has battled back from adversity to get this one. Villopoto takes a solid run for second, and they congratulate each other.
Kawasaki's good time.
Could this be that little boost he needs to get on another hot streak like the one that carried him to the championship last year? Let's review this race with our Lucas Oil race recap. Well, Chad Reed had the early lead. Dungey was all over him. Reed makes a mistake, and Dungey shoots into the #1 spot on the Rockstar Makita Suzuki. Watch Reed try to fight back. He knew he had to be stronger in Moto 2 than Moto 1, but the Ryans just wouldn't make it easy on him. Villopoto then able to blast past Reed to take the #2 spot. And Villopoto was on his game in this one. He was all over Dungey.
He definitely was, but it was Dungey taking your checkered flag and the overall today. First time this season.
And he and Villopoto congratulate each other. It was a heads-up duel. They both charged all the way to the wire. Dungey wins by 3.8 seconds after about 36 minutes of racing. And Aaron has our winner on the podium. Aaron?
Ryan Dungey did exactly what he set out to do. Ryan, you knew coming in here what needed to be done. What does it mean to get the monkey off your back?
To get that win means a lot. You know, 5 rounds in, and should have came earlier, but you know it's racing. But just got to throw it up for Team Rockstar Makita Suzuki. We've been working our butts off, and this win feels really good. You know, I just try to keep continuing it, but bike was awesome. Got to thank the man above and my whole family. It's feels good to get this one.
Congratulations on such a terrific day.
Well, if Dungey does get on a streak, these are the races that he's going to try to win as part of that streak. Next week, we will be at Redbud in Buchanan, Michigan. The coverage will be on NBC at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then we take a break. We're back after a weekend off Millville, Minnesota. Coverage on Speed at 11 p.m. Eastern. Washougal live on Speed at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Unadilla in New Berlin, New York, once again on NBC. That's your Toyota moving forward schedule. And every one of those races is going to be great with the way Reed, Villopoto, Dungey just keep pushing each other in each and every round of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Ryan Dungey and Rockstar Makita Suzuki have done it. They're #1 again.
Is it so wrong for a man to love cars? In some states.
Welcome back. 6,000 plus feet of elevation here in Colorado, and these fans, man, they were treated to a great show. Ryan Villopoto, Ryan Dungey pushing each other all the way to the finish of the second moto today. Ryan Dungey able to break through and get a hard-earned victory, and we'll show you the results here in this one. Chad Reed, 1 minute 3 seconds back at the end. That's not what he wanted. Kevin Windham is actually right behind Reed at the end. There's the rest of your top 10. Brayton did hold on, put the 10 in 10th. Let's send it down to Aaron Bates with your runner-up.
Coming into today, Ryan Villopoto's sole focus was on that second moto. Ryan, you didn't manage to take that victory, but second place isn't so bad. Are you happy to come away with this result, considering how challenging today's track was?
You know, we're at altitude. The bikes are slower, and it gets to us towards the end of the motos, but yeah, I'm really happy the second that second moto was my best one all year so far, and it's just going to get better from here. So, you know, it seemed like I was quicker in one part of the track and he was quicker, so we played cat and mouse most of the race, and just couldn't do anything with it. But can't thank everybody at Monster Energy, Kawasaki, Dunlop, Thor, Alpenstars, Oakley, Vans, Maxima Renthal, Falcon Tires, Volcom, and Specialized, Trainer, my fiance, everybody, thank you.
When you go home, what is it that you work on this week so you come back stronger for Moto #2 at Redbud next week?
Just motos and training, and we just try to squeeze as much as we can into the short weeks, and and still stay fresh when it comes towards the weekend.
Anything you can to give yourself a little extra edge. Congratulations on a great day.
Let's show you the progressive whole shot replay here, Jeff. Chad Reed going to control it.
Yeah, Chad Reed gets just the edge out on Kevin Windham there on the inside. First moto whole shot right here, 144 in the middle of your screen. Watch him. He connects with Albertson and goes down, takes Weimer with him. So Craig could not back up that great first moto he had because of this first turn here in Moto 2.
Craig and Weimer would fight back for 15th and 16th in that moto. Let's give you the overall results on the day. When we combine Moto 1 and Moto 2, you see Dungey and Villopoto actually tie in points with the second and first, but that's all right with them because they make up 7 points in the day on your leader, Chad Reed. And Jake Canada, top 9 overall. Well done. Let's send it back down, Aaron.
Chad Reed got the whole shot, made a little bit of a mistake out there, which Ryan Dungey capitalized on, but Chad, you just lost your rhythm out there today, like you had said during Moto 1. What do you do from this, and what is it like putting this race behind you?
It's good, you know. I've always struggled here, but no excuses, man. It's a track where you need starts, and Honda's always been strong here, so kind of pressure was on a little bit, but man, that CR 450 rips up that start straight, and it's by far the best bike I've rode in elevation, so I just struggled in the ruts a little bit. Those guys were really, really committed, and I just didn't have pace, so 3.3's safe at this point, and yeah, I got a little work to do, you know, work on that, and just give a huge shout out to all the guys at TwoTwo Motorsports, Bellray, guys at Honda, PC, Dunlop, man, Shift Fox, Etnies, you know, just everybody who helped me out, and yeah, I'm stoked with the podium, and you know, I always want to win, but podium will do.
Here's a look at the series standings, and Reed, the lead's been cut about in half between he and Villopoto, but that podium finish helps preserve the #1 spot in the series, and that is the goal, to be consistent on your bad days. Dungey making up a little ground too.
Yeah, sometimes you have a good third, and sometimes you have a bad third. That's a good third.
Fuel your passion for motorcycle racing with Speed Motorcycle Text Alerts powered by Yamaha. You get the latest moto racing results and breaking news as soon as they become available, and we'll send them right to your phone. So text Moto to Speed 3 for the alerts now. For example, we give you an alert that says Ryan Dungey wins big in Colorado. So there is your podium. No surprise what 3 riders are up there. Reed, Villopoto, and Dungey have been the fast boys all year long. The difference is the order. Dungey finally has a win, joining Villopoto and Reed in the winners column this year, which means this championship is only going to be more intriguing as it rolls forward. Great day of racing in Colorado. Great weather, great fans, great track, the best riders in the world. And we're so glad you folks were able to enjoy it with us. For Aaron Bates and Jeff Emig, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching Speed's coverage of the 450 class of Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross. Congratulations to Ryan Dungey.